it with international auditing agencies also. But the question is, how do we regulate the regulator? You know, in other words, how do we regulate the regulator? So if regulator goes corrupt, then we are in for a difficult time. An active role of the people, you know, the civil society, you know, where the funds are going. You know, in terms of companies going in for education, there has to be ground level test of whether the school has been constructed, the number of teachers are there, what is the result of that. So more comprehensive, multi-layered checks, you know, not just book writing or bookkeeping or has to be developed. Multilateralism or networks have to be, governance network has to be developed, you know. And ITC, information technology has to be used, you know, because the corruption issues, you know, you can, RTIs can be put to the companies, you know, right to information, that what have you done for this funds? Where are these millions of dollars going? Where are these crores going? So I think all these mechanisms have to be put in place, and it has to be done simultaneously, you know, together. So we as consumers also have to be very vigilant. What products we are buying, you know, what brands we are following and chasing. You know, blind consumerism is another reason. Nike and all these companies have not been into the controversial zones, you know. So, but we love wearing Nike shoes, you know, like or McDonald's, you know, Walmart is coming to India now. So these are very contentious issues, and we are still grappling with it. We are at the beginning of the process. You know, this is around 10 to 20 years old issue.
Continuing with what Kumara said is, she's talked about multi-layered system. It's a very fine word she has given, because one layered system always gets hijacked. So if you have a check and balances and they may be multi-layered, probably it can help. Now this is one thing. Second thing is, even the independent system which she is talking about, I am also advocating, yeah, it's better to have it than not to have it. You see? That's it. Give it a chance also. Yes. Let it also come out. Right? We cannot depend upon these corporates in terms of their reporting, having seen their reporting practices. Yes. Apologies, of course. You know, in India, I know they are doing the rubber stamping role, which is very unfair. And you know, all this hurts our country, our economy. I tell you, this hurts. It has hurt. It has already done a great damage. So, you have a parallel system which monitors it and then is independent. Okay, if it goes corrupt, never mind. Then we should have it first. Let it go, and then not having it at all. Don't you think so? Yes, sir. That's it. Though there is a lobby in India which is deriding the concept of independent directors, you know, these corporates would like them to throw them out, right? But fortunately, the government has kept its foot on the ground sternly and firmly. कि नहीं, independent directors होंगे. और इसको बेहतर आगे किया जा सकता है. वो कर रहे हैं. They are conscious of it. But first we have had it, na? The concept of independent directors. Yeah. And then, of course, it will get modified, you know, re-engineered, and then we can have a better system in place. The fact is, there is a war going in corporates. How many independent directors? Why independent directors? Look, they are not that independent. All that is being bogey is being raised. But we know that they have to be there. They should be there. So that's a good point. So similarly, that regulatory kind of thing which is independent will do serve a purpose. Serve a purpose. This question is very well taken. It's a very good question. Civil society owns corporates.
And the stakeholder means everybody.
That civil society means stakeholders.
Not just shareholders.
But now when we say that the consumer has to be aware, does the consumer really have a choice in the choice of products, a wide range of choice?
Of course. In today's era of market liberalization, you have, if you want to pick up shoes, you have Indian brands to international brands. You have shoes worth 500 rupees to shoes worth around 6,000 rupees.
Yes, but
and you can choose the brand you want to buy.
Like,
certainly.
For instance, the consumer will have in coming times, you know, a choice to buy the food which is generated through organic processes as compared to inorganic processes. So the companies which are going into this kind of CSR, look, we are not going to use pesticides to that extent. So this organic farming, and we are bringing it online. Consumer will have a choice if you go for this. Ultimately it means more sales, more revenue, more profit to this company, and the concept is pushed forward. The market has a role to play also.
And the best tamer of the market or of the companies are the consumers. Because if you want to bring down the shares of Pepsi or Coke, US consumers stop drinking it, they'll have to modify their ways. So the power is actually in the hands of stakeholders. Really in the hands of stakeholders. And today internationally, because of this global crisis, financial crisis, there is a debate. In Wall Street, there was only 1% against 99%. Top 1% of the society. And during elections in America also, this was a debate which picked up who pays the taxes. Where should the tax cut come from? The middle class or the
You must also expect many more questions.
I was going to present the role of multinational enterprises in the growth of food sector in India, a case study of meat sector in India and Netherlands.
Netherlands, yes.
Go ahead, thank you. Have like 15 minutes because
Okay, good afternoon,
presentations.
Chairperson and all my dear colleagues. Now I am starting my paper is on the role of multinational enterprises. Okay. I have chosen this topic because it has been very neglected sector, and in spite of very rich, or we are having, India holds #1 position in livestock population. The world and total world 16% livestock population is with India, and our meat industry in our country is highly underdeveloped, and fragmented supply of hygienic meat and meat product to the domestic consumer is a big issue. In spite of high availability of livestock, our share in the global market is hardly 2%.
We can hear you.
I practiced organic farming before I came to industry.
State called Bombay or Mumbai?
Second, her name is not there. But she was supposed to come here, but she's IMD Bhubaneswar, and they showed one cartoon caricature, and they shown that 4 or 5 people are working on it with pants and ties, and one guy is saying, okay, the soil specialist is over here, the agronomist is over here, different names in agriculture. But there's a guy standing in the dhoti kurta, and he said, but we don't understand, who is this guy? An Indian farmer is telling, who is this guy? So that's what the corporatization of Indian agriculture has taken so much that we're forgetting the real scientist. And we think anyone who is in white coat, he only has the knowledge. It has come to so much that we think that, जो कुछ नहीं कर सकता वो ही खेती करता है. Okay, anyway, coming to this, it's very different topic. Green practices among non-scheduled operators in Indian aviation, effect of aircraft manufacturing MNCs. So how the big aircraft corporations, those who manufacture the planes or the helicopters, they affect the non-scheduled operators. Now what is non-scheduled? Non-scheduled basically means those who do not publish their timetables to the public. Right, or you can have various tours, or for some other fractional ownership program means many companies come together and start owning a plane for this thing. And these are various services they offer, geographical surveys and aerial photography. During election times, the demand for such services increases because politicians want to make various speeches in ad hoc places and all these things. The reason I took non-scheduled operators was simple, because scheduled operators are very well known. Non-scheduled operators, since they are small, and many of them operate just one helicopter or maybe one small aeroplane. So in that case, can they become sustainable or can they practice anything? So this is what we try to find out. Now the annual growth rate, compounded annual growth rate is about 19% in India in the full commercial aviation sector, including scheduled and non-scheduled. By 2070, according to Planning Commission of India, about 850 more aircraft are going to be part of the non-scheduled aviation sector. So we have all together existing is there are 138 operators in India with so much inventory, about 347 as per December 2011. This is the data from DGCA, Director General of Civil Aviation. And if you add that, you are seeing that they'll nearly be near to 1,000. And that's the growth rate we are looking at. So more the growth rate means more consumption of fuel and more CO2 emissions and other things. Right? current aviation impact, environmental impact in the world, jet kerosene is used currently per annum, but the world consumes 85 million barrels per day in total. Aviation only uses 5 million, so that's a very fraction. It's only 2%, accordingly 2% of CO2 emissions happen from the aviation sector, but relative to the transportation sector, it's about 9%. At 3 to 4% per year, this is going to increase at 3 to 4% per year. We could amount for emissions at least 15% of CO2 by 2050. In India, the average growth is of 20% since 2003 and 2008. The fuel consumption in India between the same period increased from 2.5 million tons to 4.5 million tons, almost doubling the CO2 emissions. Now, these are the various impacts of growth in the aviation. In the world, currently 670 million tons is the annual consumption. 1.5 billion tons by 2025. Accordingly, nitrogen dioxide, nitrogen oxides, which are one of the exhausts along with the CO2, they are going to also go up. So is the noise, and you also have the formation of contrails. Contrails are those, when you see in the sky, a huge jet liner going through the cloud formations which they make. Actually, they are very dangerous because they are one of the things which impact the this ozone layer.
In Uttar Pradesh, in North India, it is also having joint venture of government in India and assisted by state government. Alliance is also world largest producer of frozen halal boneless buffalo meat. Buffalo meat, as I have shown you, that major export from India is of buffalo meat. We are very rich in our animal that is used for food processing is buffalo meat. India's largest exporter of processed food product and agro commodities. This company has been designated as a 5-star trading house of the government of India. So, I have studied that 37 integrated meat processing plant approved for export and 67 processing plant through questionnaires and interview and personal visit. So primary, on the basis of primary data, I have given this analysis that 37 analysis modern meat processing approved by following sanitary and phytosanitary guidelines given by Quality Safe or ISO 9000 and ISO 22000, that is for animal food product or food processing. Now, they have all sorts of modern facilities, as I have seen in Netherlands, that is that animal is well produced and veterinary checkup is done all the time. And their packaging, chilling, deboning and freezing packaging is modern facilities is there. So, processing plant, packaging and technology to raise buffalo calves for meat production. Buffalo rearing under the contractual farming as a backward integration to the modern abattoirs for the meat production. Establishing disease-free zone for rearing animals. Quality assurance, that is quality assurance is also needed for consumer awareness or meat inspection. As you know that in abroad, they are with the power cut of long hours, they just throw the food. But after the long hours, we used to psychological. We think that this is preserved and we use our food. So there is consumer awareness is also needed. Traceability. Traceability. India's difference is that we just not go through the which farm it has come, what is the animal number, and every detail has been given. So meat adulteration is also major issue. Meat animal welfare is also major issue in Indian perspective. Cold chain is very neglected. Only few modern abattoirs or modern industry meat sector is having. Conservation of sustainable supply of meat animals. Price control. Backward and forward linkages. Farm to the fork concept. It's lacking here. In modern abattoirs, Cotton meat is just like modern industry in Netherlands has been, that are very few, but this disposable is open, and traditional avatar, some investment has been made to improve only infrastructure part. That is not in the modern avatar we have, but it is only few. This is the traditional avatar, they are just doing in open area. Bamboo is used for hanging the rope for carcass, and the disposal is paper is used. All the techniques has been scientifically, technically used. These are the machines where MPS meat processing, which is full-time line of 40 to 16,000 per hour processing cattle, and that is sheep, cattle and pigs. So, analysis, that Indian meat sector is highly organized, fragmented, where Netherlands is fully organized. The animal rearing in India is not on a very scientific way. They just open the male animals to graze in the green area, because there are shortage of our farmers are not economically sound. So there is no good hygienic practices, whereas Netherlands animals are raised for meat purpose in scientific and following the good health hygienic practices and monitoring their growth in a well-defined manner. In India, there is no organized animal market. Thus, they go to sell the animals, and the animal is just put in the tag, or just to show that their animal meat is giving to the producer. And not proper transport system is there. They are using normal trucks for the animals. In India, there is hardly any integrated meat processing plant for the domestic consumer. On the other hand, one of the modern most integrated meat processing plant in Netherlands, which has been slaughterhouse, meat processing unit, packaging unit, transportation as well. So they are very integrated. So on the basis of comparative study, we have reached to since export-oriented.
Probably you were not present here. It was at the dinner as well.
Compare equally well with the multinational enterprises. When we see the
Time for my presentation before.
We can only think of chicken, as you said, no? We can only think of chicken and some meat right now.
So please go ahead if you have some comments, questions, anything.
Rashmi, I want to say something because I must say, because we have been colleagues together in unorganized meat producing sector, where not individuals but families are involved. Family units
agricultural farmers are involved.
No, family units are involved in slaughtering and selling, roadside shops and whatnot.
They are doing it in traditional way.
Yes, traditional way. It is happening. It is there. It is there. That's it.
We are in a hot country.
Yeah, probably you have missed that part to touch.
You have sorted so much. I have written it.
Anyway. Now the thing is, you are appreciating meat producing country, right? All right, multinational corporations come down to India with new technology and everything, fine, at an organized sector. Now, my point is, allow multinationals to come in, or even as a CSR part.
And the chemical districts, we call that as, that is what people are exploited. It is not that farmers are not sustaining themselves, they are sustaining, capable of doing everything. But unfortunately, things are commodities. जो बेग साहब बोल रहे थे, मैं उसको हिंदी में बोलता हूँ ऐसा है, कैसा? Commodity is taken as a asset class, as an asset, investment asset. that asset, investment asset, which is the investment asset, the asset which is having liquidity, you can convert at any time to currencies. अगर ये मैं एक पेपर एक asset है मेरा, अगर मैं इसको अभी बेच के पैसा नहीं ला सकता तो ये लिक्विड नहीं, लिक्विड इसमें नहीं है, लिक्विड नहीं है, इलिक्विड एसेट है। तो ये जो फाइनेंशियल बात होती है ना, वो लिक्विड एसेट की बात होती है। इलेक्ट्रिक कमोडिटीज, मेटल्स, बुलियंस, एवरीथिंग, ऑल दिस टेकन एज एसेट क्लास। Who did this? This is the concept that is futures. The word futures is always a plural word. That is a concept. That is a type of contract. Contract to buy or to sell certain anything. I can sell your Ravi sir. I can he can buy and sell. Contract not all no. वो हो सकता है, वो भी नहीं सकता है। Delivery हो सकती है, नहीं हो सकती है। So at a future date, but the price is determined in advance. So that is the concept. The futures, forwards when you.
Gupta, and it's about grassroots innovation. While we in urban India continue to live our middle class, industrialized, urbanized lives, and we think of innovation as something that happens within R&D labs, that's something that happens in big organizations, requires a lot of money and science and technology. At the same time, there are people living in villages working with very simple implements and tools, but making